you for being here today. Today's topic on mentorship is one I'm very passionate about. My name is Paige, and I have a Huntsville Recycling. My husband and I own a trucking and excavating company in Nebraska, and 3 years ago, we stumbled into the metal recycling industry. We joined ReMA right away to gain knowledge, hoping to gain some great results.
My name is Rob Wise. I work for Metal Conversion, I'm based out of Columbus, Ohio. We're a third generation metal recycling company that focuses on melting of secondary aluminum products for a range of several facilities around the Midwest. We also own a full service scrapyard in Mansfield, Ohio. And I'm no stranger to ReMA. I'm currently the chair of the Young Executive Council for ReMA National. I've served on 3 different boards, both Michigan, Southeast, and now where my current home is in the Northern Ohio board. And I've also chaired EYV event for Young Executives twice in 2019 in Detroit and in 2023 in both. Yeah, so I think, listen, mentorships are everywhere in every walk of life and everything we do. I've been blessed to have a lot of mentors in my career here in the recycling business. My very first mentor in the recycling business is someone who did not want to be my mentor at all. He doesn't even know to this day. He's been retired for 7 or 8 years now. He had no idea he'd ever mentored me. If I had ever told him he was my mentor, he might have quit at that moment. What he had was a kid who was eager to learn. I would come into the business. I had worked up on the way up through operations, and that come from outside the business. I worked in culinary for a while. I was on the radio, so completely unrelated things. And I was excited about recycling. And my mentor, his name was Scott, was sort of an older, not very pleasant at times, the people might say. And he really did not want me to be around. I was just at his heels, and he felt it, I think. And taught me so much about business. He taught me also, though, how I wanted to be mentored and how I would also handle that get pumped up. Because the thing in all of our careers at some point, regardless of what part of business you're in or what your role is, ultimately you'll have somebody either underneath you or somebody who's coming into the business who wants to learn. And what I learned most was just how I didn't want to handle that. As weird as that sounds, Scott taught me innumerable lessons. I'm still using stuff he taught me today, every day. But I also got perspective about how hard it is to be at the top of that relationship when you pack somebody feminine and you feel a little bit of pressure. And so I think it's important to understand on both sides of the relationship what the other person is also feeling.
Let's talk about this. How would you define reverse mentorship?
I mean, I'll start. I have no problem with that. I think when we think about mentorship, very often we put ourselves, in the box of this is a more seasoned or older employee mentoring a younger or newer employee, and reverse mentorship is, really the opposite of that. Anybody at any stage in their career can learn something from the person or the people around them. And I see that every day now in my career. I think we all understand that we're all constantly learning. A mentor could come at any time in any form, and life in this business is all about shared experience. And my background is very unique to me. And one thing I love most about this business is everybody's unique way of fitting in. I came from way outside. There's people who are in family-owned businesses. It's the greatest bunch of misfits on the planet. And I mean that in the most endearing way possible because I am one of them. And we have a lot to learn from those experiences that came from outside or the experience of somebody who came from a family-owned business that I will never understand that. And I think it's just that, being open to being mentored and learning from somebody who might just be starting what their experience is, and being okay with opening yourself up to that learning experience. I've been in the business 13 years. It can be very intimidating. This can be a very intimidating business. And there are so many heightens. I mean, I'm sitting next to one to my left now, heightens of the business, of the industry. Yeah, I know. You see that? How is that not scary? No, I think this business can be intimidating to new folks. We are a very tight knit community. And when you come in from the outside, like I did, and like Judy did once upon a time, we all start somewhere. We are very tight knit, and there's a lot of little clicky things going on at times, and it feels almost insurmountable when you walk into some of these rooms to see yourself in the middle of that, because there are so many leaders that are in this industry. But I think keeping that in mind, if you are somebody who is more established and, opening up and reaching out to that person who you think might be struggling, or somebody new. There are new folks coming into the industry every day. We see them all around us. And I think YE, Women in Recycling, have done a great job of opening our arms. And I think we can always do better and bringing more people to do that. But I think intimidation is a huge thing. It's not easy. I can't even imagine what it might have been like 40 years ago for a woman coming into this business, and how intimidating that was. Because I know how intimidated I was 13 years ago as a 28-year-old white man. So it seems like an exclusive club. But the other thing I've learned on the flip side of that is there are so many warm and welcoming people in this business who have been around for a long time and who are great at this job and who are really, really pillars. I've learned a lot from being on this panel with Judy and Paige, and your unique experience, who I've known for a while. But lots of folks along the way have helped welcome me. Like I see Brian Shine, who, when we brought YE back from the ashes of before with Sean and Jacqueline and all the great work they did, Brian was there as chair to really open the door for us. And that type of stuff right there is why I'm able to sit here. So thank you, Brian. But it's important. And those connections, those things, those bridges that you can build help break down some of those walls that we all see. And so you get over that. But the intimidation, the fear, no one wants to be rejected. Even though a lot of us are in sales and get rejected every day, it's much harder to get rejected to your face by a group of people you see as your peers. So we're all fighting the same battle, right? So I think intimidation is a huge block to get past.
I think that since we had this question, I've just been kind of asking people as I see them, have you ever thought about being a mentor? And they go, and most of them, it just didn't occur to them to be a mentor. They've been in the industry for a while or a long time, some of them. It just didn't occur. And some people said, I wouldn't know where to start, or I don't think I would sign up because I would feel like, I knew everything or something like that. So I think that, every mentorship is different. Now the formal mentorship program that we have here, you meet 5-6 times a year, or I always meet every month with mine, but I think it's very, very important to know that every single one of you can be a mentor. Who wants to be a mentor? Raise your hand. See? Sign them up. Yeah.
Well, and I would also ask Paige. I mean, I know you're asking the questions, but as somebody who, you opened up with this, with a very, nice thing about how you came into the business and how Women in Recycling has really helped you. Tell us.
Yeah.
You're the one who's most suited to answer the question. You've done it.
3 years into this industry, and I found the Women in Recycling mentorship program, and I was like, wow, this sounds like a really safe place. Women and mentoring that can help me learn something and get me somewhere. And it's been great. I've learned so much. I've met so many wonderful people, and it's a really, like, the matching that they do is phenomenal. They put you with, people that are a fit. So it's been great. I'm learning so much for only being here for 3 years.
And I
Kind of
think
crazy.
you hit it on the head though. You use the word safe.
Yeah. I was like, okay, women and
Everybody,
mentor. Yeah. I need to be
everybody
there.
wants to feel that. Everybody, women, young executives
Yeah.
from all walks of life, from all places around the country and around the world. We all want that.
Yeah.
Whether we want to say it out loud or not, that's what we want. The vulnerability to be able to say it is very, very important. And I'm glad you said it, but we all want to feel that. The safety of I'm in a spot where I can be myself, where I can learn at my own pace, where I'm not going to be judged.
Yep.
And I think
one-on-one.
Yep.
It's not,
yes.
And
you've gotten that from Women in Recycling. And I think, as YEs, I think we've tried to help and, we've been working in tandem with Women in Recycling. And I think we've tried to make that a very inclusive and safe place for everybody. And we're always looking for more folks like that. I don't want people to get turned off by the buzzwords. I know it's 2026. We all hear them. We all know them, but it's important to keep it in perspective. Safety, feeling comfortable. These things go a long way and it makes our industry better. It makes our industry much, much better.
Yeah. Love that. Okay. Judy, if you were to mentor a tenured individual in the industry, what is the first thing you would concentrate on?
I am a 10.
Yeah, I guess I should.
If you were to mentor yourself,
So, yeah, what
would you say to
on
Judy
first?
Ferraro if you were sitting here? Just keep being you, girl.
Yeah.
You're already the best.
So I think probably if it would be more about legacy.
Yeah.
If somebody came to me that was older than me, we'd talk about that and maybe AI and social media. So
yeah,
I think that's a better question for them.
Well, I would add to that. Just you kind of hit it there. The biggest difference I think between generations is the way we communicate. Communication is so important when we talk about these mentorship situations. How we communicate with each other. Is it text, email, WhatsApp? We all know the thousands of ways now that we're communicating with each other, LinkedIn, all these things. We all do it differently. If you can find a common area, that is the biggest stumbling block, I think, to most of these things. We all communicate differently. Are you willing to bend your communication style to somebody else? That builds trust. This is not the way I normally do it, but I'm willing to do it because that is how this person feels comfortable. And that flexibility builds the trust that leads to true mentorship. So if I was going to, mentor somebody who was more tenured in the business or who had been around longer or whatever, somebody older coming in for the first time, I would try to meet them where they are. And a lot of that comes down to how we communicate. Mm-hmm. That's the first step. You say, with the Women in Recycling, with the mentorship program, you're communicating 5 to 6 times a year. Well, that looks different for every pair, I bet. Some of it's FaceTime or Zoom or whatever. Some of it's text. Some of it's just a check-in. Hi, how are you doing? I mean, that to me, that's the first step. The communication piece is the most important thing. It's how we do our business. We all know we probably have notes in our phones for our customers. This is how this person likes to be communicated with. They're not going to answer an email, but they will answer a text. They're not going to. How is it different? It's not. We care about our business that way. We have to care about the mentorship piece that way as well, I think.
And in addition to the communication, I also think it's, each generation when they join, whether it's the industry or comes in, they're all posed with a different set of challenges that shape them into who they are. So coming from the point of understanding too, where what you're doing is essentially modeling yourself in the situation they were in, and come from a point of trivia where you're questioning and trying to, because of questions, you lead to answers that makes you understand what it is. And then they're doing things the way they are doing for a reason, because of the experiences they had. So you're seeing how you can use that same experience either to better yourself, and because I think mentorship goes 2 ways. So you're doing that to better yourself, or also say, hey, could we do this way? And these are the experience I had that led me to lead this into a more efficient manner. So I think trivia and questioning, not authority, but questioning why you're doing it. The why, I believe, is very important if in a tenured relationship.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. So there are both formal and informal mentorships. What does that mean?
Listen, I'm a very non-traditionalist in a lot of ways, but I mean, I've never been in a formal mentorship personally, right? I mean, informal is happening all around us all the time, every day. There's no title, there's no label on it. I spoke about the first mentorship I had. He had wanted nothing to do with it. He had no idea. I was learning from him every day, what to do, what not to do. He was really, really good at his job trading. And I learned a lot from that, but I also learned that I would mentor somebody differently than he mentored me, right? So that was a very informal situation. He had no idea what was happening. I had no idea until later. I didn't even know. I was forced to learn from him because he was in front of me. I didn't know what was happening, and neither did he. He knew he didn't want it. So it was very informal. There was no title on it. Now, what we're doing with Women in Recycling and YE and the mentorship program, that's very formal. Sign up. We are looking for mentors. We have a lot of mentees who want to be mentored by somebody, and we're going to match you up. Very formal. But I think the majority of the time, we've tried to fix that with the program by saying, hey, here's a safe space to do it. These are people who want to be involved. But the majority of the time, you're going to have informal mentorship. That's what happens all around you. It's what happens in your personal life with your friends, the people you meet, you know, and what ultimately happens probably between parent and child. You know, you have kids, you're mentoring them, but eventually they start mentoring you in some way. You learn from what they're doing. I'm getting a crash course on that every day. I've got a prepubescent 11-year-old daughter at home. And I grew up with brothers, so you can imagine what that's like. It's not easy, but we are learning from each other every day. And, but I think informal is what we see most often in our day to day. You know, our program between YE and Women in Recycling is much more formal, but to me, that's where it all starts.
Judy, I think you have a good story about your informal mentorship.
Yeah, so that most of the time it was very informal, but I have a couple of stories. I sold my business to Metal Management, was working, and one of the young women there, was getting married, and I was invited to this very small wedding. And when I got there, her mother said, "Oh, you're Tuesday's mentor." And I hadn't any idea, you know, and there's people in this room that, had told me that I was their mentor, and I didn't have any idea, but I think the formal mentorship is really great because it creates it creates another type of relationship. And I don't ever see any of them when Laura's here, and we just, talk, every month still, and we talk about books and travel and things like that. And I think that there's all sorts of different types of mentorships, like the informal or what I think we should call it something else. The informal, it's where you're being mentored, or you're a mentor and you don't know it's something. There's got to be another name for that. But
I like casual.
Yeah, it's very casual. Yeah.
Yeah. So I just think that I think I'm done.
What?
Riding on your coattails, I'll go with the same thing. The casual mentorship, I think that's the majority, at least for me as well. The casual mentorship, I mean, I think Rob and I have talked about this in the past too. If I told someone who is somewhat of a mentor that, hey, you're my mentor, it'd kind of get awkward. Like, what? But if it's a formalized program, how it is when it gets to that, I think that's where then the safe space is automatically established that we were talking about earlier, where the questions that you would wait as your relationship develops in a casual mentorship, you're not going to wait for those. If otherwise you get that comfortability 2 months later after you've dealt with each other or just communicated with each other in a formalized environment, you're not going to wait that. You just fire away. And I think that's the benefits of having that formal program available to you.
Yeah, we've had all sorts of like informal, like BYAB. Those are your peers, really, and that's I think where we met for the first time. Women in Recycling, like we put groups of people together and they naturally mentor each other eventually, even at a peer level. It's not above or, you know, a superior, you know, it's not somebody who's your boss. It's like you're learning so much from how people do their business, how they interact in those groups, how, you know, the young executives interact at BYAB and what type of businesses, how it's different, who they're talking. I mean, we've set up so many places, all the networking events here at the convention. These are great places to be informally mentored. There's a lot of things to be learned, in those spaces. So, that's what we see way more often. And we're going to see it over the next couple of days.
Darpan, what reciprocal benefits have you experienced in a mentorship?
I'm probably going to repeat the answer that I had 2 questions ago. The reciprocal benefits. I think, once again, every mentorship is reciprocal. If it's just one way, I feel like that's not, I don't think both sides are getting full fruition from that relationship. So it would, I think you're constantly learning from one another and the ability to understand the other party. I think every mentorship is always going to be reciprocal. And that's, I guess, and yeah, just repeating, I'll hit asterisk and repeat whatever I just said 2 questions ago.
We'll have to watch the tape back to find his answer to that question. I mean, for me, it's acceptance, right? This is a back and forth trust, a two-way street, and then the communication piece, obviously. But I think a lot of it is just, I'll keep going back to, because I think it was perfect what you said earlier about safety, about acceptance. I mean, that is the two-way thing that we're getting, immediately, and that trust. And then eventually that leads into, Judy says, keeping in touch with a mentor. That's become a friendship, right? I mean, that's what you'd call it. You don't call it a mentorship maybe anymore. You graduate into a friendship, into an actual personal relationship. And I think that is, I think that is the greatest thing you can get out of some of these things. I don't talk to Scott anymore, believe it or not. He didn't want to be my mentor, and we don't keep in touch now, but there are a lot of situations where it's the exact opposite, where I have great friends who have mentored me along the way.
I would say that every single person that I have formally or informally or casually mentored or has been my mentor, has brought me much joy, much fun. They've all added to my life. They've advised me on things, as much as I've advised them on, and, sometimes you don't want to hear it, but they do, and I do, and, but it's good. And the other thing I thought about when I first saw this question, the things that happen in a mentorship, like, there's one person when I go to lunch or dinner or something with him, we pray before we eat. And I love that. That's one of my favorite parts of that relationship. And, another person that I mentored, I was having a tough time with my family, and I was telling her about that, and she gave me a story about seasons in life, and all seasons come to an end. And, while that season is over, it was a good season. And so, I honestly, I carry that with me all the time. So you learn from those discussions, a lot of personal things that make you happy.
Yeah, and I would say in addition, I think it's perspective, right? I mean, you're getting perspective, shoe on the other foot. Not everybody sees every situation the same way. And when you have somebody you rely on and trust as a mentor to be able to bounce off whatever problem it is, whether it's something in your personal life or whether it's something at work, having taking that step back that maybe you can't take because you're too close to it, and bouncing it off the person who is your mentor, like, hey, this is the situation. And they open your eye. I mean, it's happened to me so many times now in this business. It's like, I'm very emotional about it. And once they're like, well, why are you so upset? This is what happens it's not like the first time it's ever happened. Remove the emotion a little bit, and then try to reevaluate. And those moments of perspective, I think, are important, and also something that, you get in a two-way, mentorship relationship.
Yeah. All right. Let's do some audience participation. How many people call someone their mentor, but have never told them? Good show of hands. All right. How many people would like to find a mentor, but find it difficult to know how to approach them? Good. All right. We kind of talked about communication style. That was great. Question. All right. What are ways to approach a person about being a mentor? We'll just go right into that.
My best friend, LinkedIn,
Yes.
is a great, place. But when it's informal, like there's some people I would have liked to have learned from in the business, but they were people that I just didn't know how to approach. With LinkedIn, I don't even know how hard that would be for someone. You raised your hand. Would it be hard to send a LinkedIn message to somebody and say, I'm looking for a mentor. Maybe you can help me. Maybe it's not me, maybe it's somebody else. And a lot of times I'll, introduce the people that I mentor to other people that I think maybe be more their contemporary, their peer group. And, let me see. I have a couple notes here. Oh, and sometimes it's just not a good fit, right?
Yes, I think knowing when it's not a good fit, or, there's nothing wrong with it not being a good fit. It happens. I mean, some people are just not compatible, but knowing that is a skill instead of continuing to, force what might not actually be there, for sure. I mean, Judy, if I was going to approach you, I'll just do it right now. No, if I was going to approach Judy Ferraro to be my mentor, I mean, how do you want to be approached? You've been a mentor and a mentee, but how is it that you actually want to be approached? I mean, as somebody who's mentored so many people, what's the best way to approach you?
Well, I think it's just a great thing to ask. It's certainly, it's humbling, and it's an honor, for me to hear those words. So, but I might be a little bit like Scott with you.
No, I don't think so. With me, maybe. With me, just me. That could be. Maybe it's me. Am I the problem? No. I'll just go. I'll see you guys later. Thanks for having me. You're right though. I mean, I think a lot of people, what you don't realize, and it's not everybody, but some people want to be asked. They're just, they seem unapproachable. Listen, is the right thing to go up and say, will you be my mentor? I don't think that's how it happens.
No.
I mean, that question is not something that's in anybody's, that's not the way we would say it, right? It's more like, hey, I've got a problem with this and I'd really like your perspective on it. Or, I'd like to talk to you more about these 3 things, right? I mean, it's not as we go to formal versus informal. It's very formal to go up and say the word mentor. I would really like you to mentor me. I feel like that does not happen very often. I mean, it's much more of you're looking for a piece of advice or a piece of information that Judy Ferraro has, which is all of it. She has it all. It's all up there. I know it is. But you approach her and ask, or Darpan. I mean, Darpan and I have had lots of conversations over the years about a lot of things, whether it's, specs or whatever, things that we can share with each other. That's how most of it starts, I think. And the approach starts as a question rather than will you be my mentor? I think you have to establish something before that.
Well, my mentor, Albert, said, I want you to mentor Nikki. And I went, that's not how it happened. I don't go up to her and say, okay, I'm your mentor, but then we had our first dinner together, and the rest is history, right?
Okay, so let's side note. Okay, so that one worked. Anything you can think of that, hey, I want you to mentor this person and it just wasn't the right fit? Curveball question. I know it wasn't, that's not on the card.
I think when it's not a right fit, when it is, it's kind of a funny word. There are people who are assholes. So they ask a question, they listen to your answer, and I didn't make that up. Somebody told me that. And then you give them an answer and then they just do what they want. That's when it doesn't work.
Right.
So.
Yeah, the openness, right? You've been in a situation where you thought it was a 2-way street, and it turns out it was just, like, I'm going to ask you, but I really don't. I just want to validate whatever I'm thinking, or there is no openness there. We've talked about that now a little bit. Like the openness, the willingness to actually be mentored, is tough. But not everybody has it. But that's it. I've never heard that term before. That's pretty funny. That's pretty funny. Yeah.
I got that from somebody I mentored.
There you go. There you go. See, it all comes full circle.
And I'd agree with what you were saying, where it goes back to that entire formal relationship. Hey, will you be my mentor? I think I would just not. If I did that to someone on LinkedIn, who I wanted to, I'm not getting a response. So I feel like it would be one of those things. Have that clear sense of direction. One of the hurdles with the entire mentorship thing is time. Time is very important. Where especially if you want to learn something or from someone, time. All right, am I just going to get asked a lot of questions? Do I have the time to commit to this? That's the reason behind not getting that response. So it goes into the direction of what exactly do you want? Be clear about that. And hey, this is what I'm doing. What do you think about this? And then it goes to that point of trivia where, okay, what is your opinion on this? And then exactly what Judy just said, don't be an asshole.
Yeah. Yep.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, I get a lot of calls when people are in duress.
Yeah.
When they need to talk to somebody or they're struggling at their jobs or something like that. And I like to be there for them. And, being around as many years as I have, a lot of people and you can refer them. I don't usually do much to help them at that moment, but I can refer them or, job wise or something like that.
Reminds me of me coming to you like, all right, I got to do this panel. Help me out. Mentor me. You've done this 100 times, right? So it's been great getting to know you. And
Thank you.
yes. Okay. What do you think are the benefits of a younger individual with expertise in an area to mentor someone who's been in the industry for a while? So
I think this goes back to what it was earlier. I think especially beneficial with people coming outside the industry. And this is where, in my example, it's like family business. And when the family business, when you grow up in that, it's always like, hey, you do this way, and this is why you do it. When someone comes from outside the industry, you're going against the grain, kind of similar to Rob's background. Yeah. You're coming from a different perspective. And what that does is that forces you to change the entire outlook of what you're going to do. And that's going to lead to more ideas. So I think, and then it can go into kind of the buzzwords of today, which is AI, social media, whatever it may be. I think social media is making a big splash in our industry before, where I'm the opposite of it. I don't like social media as much, where I'm not going to post a lot of stuff, but there's a clear impact to it. That exposure is there. I want someone to reverse mentor me and tell me how to use it.
Yeah, I can do that.
There you go.
Yeah, no, I think Darpan is right. It's, the outside perspective is important, and just the way that each generation sees things differently. Even for me now, being in 13 years, we have a young guy who started with us just out of college. He's 22 or 23, and as young as I still see myself, he has a much different vision, perspective of where we are in the world and what this business is going to look like in 10 years than I do. And it's important. He's become actually one of my closest. I mean, he's become one of my closest confidants in the office, because he just sees things a little bit differently. And a lot of our interactions are based on humor, but we get something out of that, right? We break the ice of all the formality and all the, hey, you're here to learn from me. We're laughing a little bit. Now we can go forward and say, hey, you really messed that thing up, or this is why we don't do this. And he is asking a lot of questions, and he's taking all of the feedback he's getting and forming his own opinions and things around that. He's not just taking it and letting everything we say go. He's taking the stuff that he finds useful and filtering through that, and you can see it happening in real time. So I think that's great, but he doesn't know, and I haven't told him yet, and I will. He'll see this hopefully maybe at some point. He's not here this week, but he'll see it. I mean, I'm already learning from him, right? Some of the things that the guys his age are doing and seeing, and how their perspective on what we're doing is much different. And now I know how Scott felt a little bit. I'm trying to be a little softer with him than Scott was with me. And that's what I learned from Scott. Just don't do that to him. Don't make him feel like he's an idiot all the time, only half the time. And so I'm learning a lot from him, whether it's that he handles some of our social media stuff, he handles some of the other things, but, I'm just learning a lot about how his generation learned to do business, even in college, how they're teaching those kids coming out in business school, what they're doing and how they're handling those things. So, it's a huge difference in a short amount of time.
So I think the benefits are, well, first of all, the benefits of the younger individual, their expertise is, first of all, the thing that they taught me the most is that everybody can get along. You can be around a competitor and be friends with them. And, there's the thing that Tim Ritterboss and Michael Goldstein, they're both in St. Louis. They're competitors, Alter and Shapiro probably. And I'm sure they do business together as well, but they're raising money for cancer together. And to me, that is, it makes me so happy to see people get along. And in Chicago, that just wasn't a thing when I started. You know, you hated your competitors and you wanted them to die, you know, and so,
I think it turns out I'm sitting too close to Judy. I'd like to switch seats with Darpan almost immediately.
Yeah. But I mean, they're not them individually, they're companies to die. But the younger generation does not do that. And it has just been refreshing for me.
Okay. All right. We've kind of talked about this a little bit, but what is something you learned from a mentorship that surprised you?
Weddings. I didn't realize how many weddings that I'd be going to and inviting people from, you know, that I've mentored to our son's weddings and travel. Brandy came and I went to Nikki's and we went to the Kentucky Derby. You know, there's so many things that happen and we're always talking about where are we going next? What are we going to do? You know, and it is so fun. And the group texts and what friend of mine, said to me, are you having a hard time with your friends talking about all the things that ail them? And I said, no. And she said, how come? I mean, cause she's older than I am. And I said, cause all my friends are young.
There you go.
There you go. That's what she's learned. Just recycle your friends and get new ones. I think I've just learned, openness. A lot of people are willing to share a lot of things. And people generally want to tell their story. Most folks want to tell their story, whatever it is. And if you're willing to listen to that, you can learn a lot. So I think the biggest surprise to me is just how open a lot of people in this business actually are when you get to know them. They're willing to tell you a lot of things and a lot of how it used to be, about how there was, blood feud in a lot of places. And I got a chance to work in Miami for, almost 4 years. And that's a completely different, you know, the variance in this business by region is incredible. I've learned that a lot just from travels, but also from my mentors about how different it is from the Carolinas to Florida to Detroit to Chicago. I mean, but the openness to share that.
Cleveland.
Yeah. No, I'm kidding.
That's tough. That's a tough market.
Yeah. I mean, and they're all tough for different reasons, right? I mean, just the way the industries were built from Buffalo to Pittsburgh to Cleveland to Detroit, the steel belt there. And then you get a little farther south and all the new industry that's coming in now in places you wouldn't expect. 50 years ago, if you said they were going to build auto plants in Tennessee and Mississippi, people would have looked at you like you were crazy. And that's how things are going, right? There's a lot of geographic region to cover. You know, there's still a lot of open area in the country where things are going to go. But the openness to share those things, I think, is one of the things I was most surprised about, because that intimidation we talked about earlier, when you come in and you see people that are so tight knit and have been doing it for such a long time, and you're like, these guys don't want to talk to me. But then you find out that a lot of them do. And a lot of them love telling stories, and you can learn a lot from those stories. So the openness of the dialogue, I think, is one thing that surprised me the most, coming from outside the industry to in. I've also tried to pass that on. You know, be open with folks as much as I can.
I have a good mentorship story. So my mentor lives in Arizona, and he has a really nice house. And so a friend of mine's daughter was getting married, and I called him and I said, well, first I brought him cookies. And then he said, you know, he kind of looked at me like he knew something was up. And then I said, I have a kind of a weird request. And he said, all right, let's go. You know? And I said, can I use your house for a shower, a bridal shower? And he went, sure, just like that. And he gave me his house.
Wow.
That's amazing.
And yeah, it was great. And then he came back after and talked to all the ladies. But yeah, I mean, it's just a good story, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's an example of reciprocal.
Yeah, there you go. That's a
benefit.
non-traditional reciprocal mentorship benefit. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Very good. Does anybody from the audience have any questions they'd like to ask? All right, come on up.
There are
Yeah,
microphones
there's
on both sides there.
So I've had a really valuable experience in the mentorship program, and mostly because of you two ladies up there. So when I talk about it with other people, they'll try to get them involved, and they'll say, well, I don't want to mentor my competition, or I don't want to, give away my secrets. So how would you guys advise responding to that?
Don't let Judy answer.
It's like, just kill them. That's what we used to do. No. Yikes. No, honestly, one thing I've learned about this business over the last, decade or so is the secrets you think you have, you don't have. There are not that many revolutionary things that anybody is doing that are different than what somebody else is doing. It's like the worst kept secret in the business. We all want to think that what we're doing is absolutely revolutionary. And I hate to break it to the people in this room and anybody who watches this recording. You're not reinventing the wheel. The wheel got invented a long time ago, and it's still round and it's still spinning. And, we make little tweaks here or there, but nothing you have is that proprietary. Sure, technology's come a long way, software, there's things that are out there, but nobody has 100% information that they can't let go. Nobody. And so I think for me, it's just that, sometimes looking internally and saying, I need to take myself a little less seriously. We are not brain surgeons. Like, this is not a life and death thing we're doing here. It's important to the world, and I believe in this business and what we do here and the value we provide. But mentoring somebody is not going to give away your family's 100-year-old secret. It's just not. And if you think it is, you're wrong. So, we should want as many qualified, excited individuals as we can get to be in this business. And when we slam the door in their face because they ask a question we don't want to answer, we're driving the best people away. And so for me, we should want that. I've always said this is the best kept secret in the world. This business is the best kept secret in the world. My family still doesn't understand it, and I've been doing it for 13 years. My wife barely understands it. And she has to hear me talk about it every day. This is a great kept secret, but it's not sustainable. Eventually we all dry up and we go away. So it's important to bring in new and fresh blood, not only to freshen up our ideas, but also because we're all not going to be here forever. We are finite. So I would just say the secret you think you're holding, someone else is doing it. You might have some great thing. Just don't tell them about that one thing. There are 20 other things you're doing that they're also doing.
Yeah. And if somebody's asking a question that seems to have an ulterior motive, they're asking something that's like a trade secret or something, that would be a big red flag for me.
Yeah, at that point, it's not a mentorship, like right. that type of fishing question. But I think generally that's not happening, right? I would say, no, listen, every walk of life has bad actors, right? We hear about it all the time. This one guy did this thing. Now all of these people are guilty. Everybody who's been in this business for more than 10 years has been one of those people. They used to say that about us. We've spent the last over a decade since I've been in this business trying to rehab our image. You see the colors? You see the name? That's what it was about, guys. So we could be the solution to the problem, or we could be part of it.
Yeah, scrap is pink now.
Right. And purple and orange and yellow. It's a much softer version of what we were before. But there's a reason for that.
Well, you have a family business. I mean, would you be afraid to share things about it?
I think that's one of the things that the surprising part in the mentorship, I would say that actually is what builds the trust, where that openness, like you said, if that one thing is a very niche item you're doing or whatever it is, you don't have to share that one thing, but the 20 other things, you're going to develop that trust, whether it's reverse or the same. And I'd say that automatically excels you. And at the same time, kind of what you were saying, you can filter out the bad actors. I think you can just tell. So.
Did we answer your question? Okay.
She's like, no, absolutely not. Let me try again. I would like to try again and have that guy in the middle stop talking so much. I'll try.
Who else has questions? All right.
Perfect.
Hi, thanks so much. I really enjoyed your stories this morning. We are thinking of doing a formal mentorship program within our company, and I was curious if you had any suggestions for creating a formal program. It sounds like a few of you have been involved in that. And also, would you do anything differently to really emphasize the reverse mentorship aspect? Or do you just create a single mentorship program that tries to encapsulate both?
I mean, that's a great question. You want to touch on the first part for sure, because you've built some of these before.
Yeah, with AWMI and then here, I think that, what we did here there's some of the people are in the room, their mission, their vision, their values, and put that together first. And then, so what do you want? What do you want to happen? What's the outcome? How many women are in your, business? Wow. Okay. So I really think you got to start just like you start a business. And I'll talk to you after about it too, if you want it. Anybody else?
Yeah. So I think a lot of mentorship comes down to your company culture, right? I mean, this is a cultural component that you're talking about here. There may be some informal things happening behind the scenes. You've got a lot of employees. And so, people are probably naturally mentoring each other, whether they know it or not, behind the scenes. I would say the first place to start is finding out what your employees want. It's a cultural thing, right? And as an employer, whether you're big or small, what is it that your employees want? What are they looking to get out of this? And is it just about work, or is there other things that you can help them with outside of that in a mentor-mentee relationship? What is it that your employees are focused on? Now, depending on size of organization, those things could be different, and the answers could be all over the board. But I would say that I assume in a bigger organization, you have some department heads or people who are filtering down to smaller groups of employees. I would be polling those people and seeing what their employees, what the people who are working around them, what they want. So your key employees can help you determine what they're seeing at the levels of the company and what your employees are looking to get out of, that. I do think that companies that offer this type of stuff are going a long way towards making their employees happier and more likely to want to continue to work for them. Because these added benefits, I mean, it's a tough, business market, and it's tough to attract employees, and it's tough to retain those employees. But these type of things are what really, really help. We've gotten past it used to be, they make the joke all the time, like, hey, everyone wanted a raise and instead they got a pizza party or whatever it is. But you can make true cultural change and impact in your organization by doing it. And then, about the reverse mentorship, I think that those happen so much more informally. Typically, when you set up a formal program, it's going to be, age doesn't matter, station in the company. People have information to provide. They want to provide it. You have people who want to be mentors and who want to be mentees. So that's how a formal program starts. The reverse happens much more informally, I think. There aren't even our program, Women in Recycling and YU that are doing the mentorship program. I mean, we're not going out there and saying who wants to reverse mentor. It's just not something we say to each other. I think this idea for this panel came from something that we saw happening all around us and that wasn't getting acknowledged enough. And so that's why we're sitting here.
Something else. Maybe just to add on to what Rob said, maybe a little focus group to see what they would like out of it. The other thing is, if you have something like that, you're really going to attract young people into your company because they like that. Mm-hmm. They like to know that that's going to happen for them, that they're not on their own. So I think that's a wonderful idea.
Yeah.
And I want to get your card and see how you guys do with that.
Well, like I said, I think that cultural component, that is very important to younger employees. What does your culture look like? That welcoming, that openness that you're talking about. We're going to mentor folks and we're going to have this open door thing we have. It's very important. And what I found with the younger folks that I've met is they care about that. And my generation cared about it. And I think the younger generations care even more about it. Darpan, I mean, I'm sorry, I'm railroading you here, just running right over you.
No, I think you guys covered it for the most part as far as
We got another question. We got another question over there, it looks like.
Yeah. In regards to the WIR mentorship program, what would you say to anyone who's on the fence of signing up to be a mentor?
Well, I've been kind of stalking people all week.
If you see a shadow behind you, it's Judy.
I most of the people that I talked to, no, it didn't occur to them. And so I think just we maybe have to do a little outreach and ask people if they would. And, was that one of our, I think that it was a question that's coming up, but yeah, I think definitely we have to ask them too.
What's your perspective on that? So how do you break down the barrier of somebody who might be on the fence about, I don't know if I want to be a mentor or not? What would you?
I think it's important, kind of what you're saying. The outreach is who that question is coming from. Where, for example, it said, yeah, you're representing young executives from YA. Hey, I'm Rob from YA. This is our goal. You're saying this. That's a completely neutral party being asked. Hey, this is my goal with it. And I think that alone knocks down a door that is otherwise there. Now, if it was me doing it, I don't have as much clout as you do. So then that's
brother. You must be way down there. If you're using me for clout, you must be right at the bottom.
Like, another question over here.
What would you say to somebody that says, "Oh, I'm not ready to step up and be a mentor. I don't have enough experience," but they've been around. Everybody has knowledge. So how would you combat that?
Say it again.
Somebody that their response is, "Well, I don't have enough experience. I'm not ready. I don't think I can handle this."
Yeah, I think that is obvious. I mean, I think to us, from the discussion we've had, I don't think any of us believe that, because again, it's not just about the experience within this industry, right? I mean, this goes farther than just talking about recycling. The mentorship program, it's really about connection. It's really about shared perspective. It's really about everyone having different experiences. And we've talked a lot about it, being from different walks of life, family-owned business, coming from outside the industry, coming up in a time when there was less women around. You've been through acquisition. Now you're consulting. I mean, just even up here, somebody who's newer was in a different business and now it branched out. I mean, you've got 4 completely different perspectives of how we came to the recycling business just right here. And so to me, anybody who says I'm not ready, I hope that's not coming from a place of recycling or metals or paper or plastic. I mean, we all have something to give, based on different perspectives. We're all from different geographic regions. We're all from, and just those little things change how you look at the world. Everyone has a view of the world that can be shared. So you have something to give. Everybody has something to give. And there's a right time and place for that. And I would say anyone who struggles, maybe be a mentee first. If you think you're not ready, you can also be a mentee. There's nothing wrong with that.
The person that asked that question, if you want to be a mentor, just go right to her. She's heading that up. She's heading that whole program up.
All right. I've got one final question. After everything we heard today, what is one action you would encourage attendees to do when they leave this room?
I think I would text my mentor and thank him. And I think I would also, sign up, again as a mentor. And, I think leaving this room and signing up as a mentor we really need mentors more than you want mentees, but there's more mentees than mentors. So I think I would sign up.
Very similar to that. I think I actually never even asked myself this question as far as mentors until being on this panel. So honestly, it's a very simple answer, but just go see who those actual mentors are for you. And most of them are probably casual, but who did you learn? And then you kind of go, and then I think this will self-reflect on that, where once you answer that question, then you're ready to be on either side of it. And then that's how you get involved. It's as simple as just coordinate here and then get involved in that exact program.
Yeah. I mean, I think my advice to somebody outside of what's already been said is we're in a great place to make connections this week. And we've got people all around us who we can learn from. So make some new connections, right? I mean, go introduce yourself to somebody who you might think is a little intimidating, or just put yourself out there. You know, everyone's getting approached this week and people are moving, but they're accessible. They're around. You're going to see them on the floor. Introduce yourself, hand them a business card, say you'd like to connect about non-work, non-business even. I'm not looking to do business. I'm just looking to pick your brain. And I think you'll be surprised about how many people will be receptive to that. Because so many people are getting hammered this week about doing business. I want to buy, I want to sell, I want to sell you this piece of equipment, I want whatever. They'll like the change of pace about that. I just want to pick your brain for a few minutes about some stuff about industry trend, about whatever. That doesn't have to do with doing the physical business. And I think that actually will go a long way for you if you're looking to make connections in the mentorship world right now.
Very good. All right. That wraps up our panel for today. Thank you to our panelists for sharing their knowledge with us. And you.
Yes, thank Paige. Paige did a great job.
Thank you. The 2026-2027 mentorship program will be open for applications beginning in July. Please watch for an email to get involved in the program. So now we're going to go over the graduation. To complete this session, we're going to recognize our graduates of the 2025-2026 mentorship program. These individuals have met the program requirements. As I read your name, which I apologize if I mess anybody's name up, please stand. We'll hold our applause until the end. At the back table over there, you'll receive your certificate and a graduation gift at the table. And then we would like to thank Grimes Iron and Metal for the graduation gift. And we'd like to get a group photo of the graduates before you depart, please. All right. Naman Yain, Nidhi Turakai, Alton Shabhut, Aviana Davis, Nina Grimes, Daniel Arnold, Laura Davis, Mariah Malanguagio, Melissa Augie, Brian Shine, Patrick Benora, Saren Shapiro, Amber Schultz, Sandy Pierce, Crystal Palmer, Kristen Newton, Mashal Atif, Maddie Carlson, Madison Hicks, Daniel Spalding, Elvira Folk, Lily Hull, Tina Kiao, Lisa Kagan, Kimberly Diozahi, I don't know, Brian Hennessy, Kaizen Clean, Tamara Diero, Judy Ferraro, and Kate Brecky.
Everybody stand. We want to recognize you. Stand up if you got your name called. Thank you all.